Hey everyone, in this video, I'm going to show you 8 Divi quick tips that you can start using right away. This tutorial is brought to you by divicake.com. Check out their huge selection of Divi themes, layouts, and plugins. The link is in the description below. Okay, so we're going to kickstart our tips with number 1, which is adding a layout to an existing page. So right now I have a page which I've set up using one of my pre-made layouts. So what I'm going to do is to add a pre-made layout, and I'm going to show you this little tip. So I'm going to click this plus button here, and let's say I'm going to choose to use this. Now you may have not noticed this, but here we have replace existing content checked by default. So let's say you want to add this layout but not delete what we have here, so you can always uncheck this. So if I check this and then click on use this layout, it's going to replace everything that we have on this page and add that new layout. Okay, so as you can see, it's replaced, and this is how you can quickly do that. Right, let's move on to the next one, and the next one is to do with our gradients. So let's say I want to add a gradient to an image. So let me add a brand new section so I can show you how to do that. So I'm going to click this plus button here, regular section, and I'm going to close this, and then I'm going to come over here to my section settings, click on background, and we need to add a background image. So I'm going to come over here to the third tab, add my background image. So the image I'm going to use is already in my media library. So all I have to do is to select it. So this is the image I'm going to use. I'm going to click on upload an image. Right. So for now, I'm going to save, and I need to make sure that I add something in here so that we have enough space to show that image. So for now, I'm going to add call to action, and I'm just going to add this link so that we have a button there like that. And I'm going to remove the background like that. Okay, and then finally, what I need to do is to add some padding to this. Right, so I'm just going to add 3 VW. In fact, let's increase this to about 5. Then I'm going to do the same to the bottom. Okay, so now we can see a bit of the image, but I guess we need to add a bit more because this background image, we don't really see most of it. Okay, anyway, that should do, because what I'm going to show you here is how to add a gradient. So I'm going to save this. Now, let's say we want to add a gradient to this background. So all I have to do is to come over here to my section settings, click on background, and the gradient I need to add needs to be above this image. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So over here, I'm going to click this plus button, and then I'm going to add my first color, and then I'm going to add my second color, but this time this is going to fade into transparent. Now, if you haven't noticed this, there's a button here which says place gradient above background image. So if I say yes, you notice now that my gradient is now above my image, and this is really cool. So what we can do now is to adjust the gradient direction by just playing around here with my slider. We can adjust the start position and end position as well. So if you don't want this to go all the way to the right, you can just play around with these sliders. But the most important thing is just to note that this is where you can add your gradient, and you can add it above the image. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save. Now, moving on. So this new feature here is the rollback feature. So to enter our rollback, what you need to do is to, in fact, I'm just going to go into my dashboard here. I won't save anything. And let's go to Divi, theme options. So the rollback feature is useful if, let's say, you have the current Divi working well, you update it, and then you have a lot of conflicts or something stops working, you can always roll back to the previous working version. So in order for you to set it up, all you got to do is to go to theme options, click update, and then you need to make sure that your username and API key is there, and then you want to click on roll back to previous version. And over here, we can see that she'll be rolled back to version 3.7, which is the version which would have worked. So that's a quick tip, and that's how you add or you roll back to a previous working version. Right, so let's move on to the next tip. So the next tip is to do with the workflow. So I'm going to come over here to pages, click on add new. So I'm just going to call this page workflow, use the Divi builder, and then I'm going to go to the visual builder. Now, notice that if you're running the latest Divi, we have this new page that shows up when we start building our website. So right now we have these 3 options. So let's say you don't want to use or you don't want to see this screen every time you start building a brand new page. Let me show you where to disable that. So I'm just going to choose this one here, start building, close that. So if you want to get rid of that welcome screen, you click this plus button here, all the way here to the left, you go to your builder settings. And now we have this option here which says page creation flow. So the first one here is give me a choice. That's how we get those three choices that we get initially when we start building a page. But if you click on this drop down, we have build from scratch. And this is how Divi used to be right before we updated to this page creation workflow. Okay, we can also set it to load a pre-made layout or clone an existing page. Okay, so that's where you disable that. Right, so the next tip is, I don't know if you knew this, but you can add CSS to a particular page as you're designing your website. So let's say you want CSS that applies to one particular page and not site-wide. What you need to do is to come over here on expand settings, click this gear icon here, and this takes you to the page settings. So whatever you do here is going to be applied to this particular page. So over here on advanced, this is where you get to see your custom CSS. So this is where you get to add your CSS. And as I mentioned, this CSS only applies to this particular page. Okay, so moving on. So in this feature here, I need something added onto this page. So I'm just going to click this plus button here and add a pre-made layout. So I'm just going to come over here and select this one here. Okay, so the next feature I'm going to talk about is the quick access feature. So this works on all modules. So right now I'm going to go into my module settings for my text module. And what you notice here is when I mouse over this area, you get this paintbrush. So what it does is when you click on it, it takes you straight to the settings that you need to do to that paragraph. So you can see here that these options go straight away into your design tab, and this allows you to make further changes just like that. So as I mentioned, this works on all modules. So I'm just going to close that and let's choose another module. So let's go with this one right here. I'm going to click this gear icon. And when I mouse over this area, you can see here that this will take me straight to my text settings, and I can go ahead and start making changes to that. Okay, so if I come over here, I can do the same thing. If I click here like that, this takes me into my number counter settings. So now when I come over here to the highlighted section, this takes me directly to the part where I need to edit this text. So I can go straight in and adjust my size, the colors, and so on. Okay, and then if I add my mouse over here and click on the next one, again, it does the same thing. It takes me to the actual items that I need to make changes to. Like for example, here I'm adjusting the line height. So this just makes things faster. Right, so the next tip I'm going to show you here is the mouse over. So when you mouse over this area here, it shows you exactly what that item is. So let's say you have no idea what this is. So when you come over here, this now shows you that it's your number text just by mousing over it. So you don't have to click on it. All you have to do is to mouse over it, and then it shows you exactly what it is. Right, so our final item that we're going to talk about is the filter button. So over here, if I click on filter, modified styles, again, this tells me exactly what was modified on my number counter settings. So this is pretty cool. You find this everywhere across our modules, sections, and rows. So again, I'm going to come over here to this section, click on section settings. And again, we see this filter button. When I click on it, click modified styles, it shows me exactly what is modified. And if we didn't know, now we know that there is also an animation style, and this tells us exactly which one it is. So I think this is great, especially if you're working with pre-made layouts. It shows you exactly how that layout was put together and where those changes were made. This tutorial is brought to you by DiviCake.com. Check out their huge selection of Divi themes, layouts, and plugins. The link is in the description below. So that does it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification. By doing so, you'll be notified when I release new tutorials. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.